Well, hello and welcome back. Decals are all done. Clear coat, got a gloss clear coat on her. Um, I glued, let's see if I can get this apart. I glued this piece here in and the rods in. So we just got to glue this to the ship. This is actually glued to this piece as well. I already took care of that, but let's flip her over and look at the top. All the decals are done on this. So, not sure. But all in all, I'm happy with it. The dome has its decal on. I just don't have it on now. I'm going to black out these because I see a little, especially these two, I see a little leaking coming out from, because I'm not going to glue this dome down. I want to be able to access this board and change the effects of the lights on the bottom spinning. So I'll just either black the actual bulb out, or I think I found a thing of black stage tape. I might see if I put black stage tape over top of it. Being that it's black, it might block that out. And that way I can still access the bulb if I need to. And that's the nice thing. I can fix all the lights. I can just pop this board and fix any of those lights. Anything here can be refixed. The decals that I put over the little LED bulbs, because I just had them popping through just a little bit. They did. They settled right around them pretty good. You know, for what we were asking them to do. So I'm very happy with that. Makes it look like there's some type of light fixture in there. And in the back things, I just got to touch up these edges here because no clears were hitting them, and for me popping them open, I constantly get a little bit of scratch. So I'll hit it up, touch it up with silver, and then maybe brush some clear on it and let them sit like this dry, because also clear coating these with them down, you know, I gotten some edges that wanted to stick a little bit. Like right here, some did stick and left a rough edge, but you can just kind of go in there and just clean that extra clear coat. Just kind of scrape it away. Maybe I'll give it a light sanding, and then, like I said, I'll just touch it up with silver. And then hit it with a clear so we don't have it do it again, because that's the problem. But yeah, anywhere it sticks, I just go across with a razor blade and just kind of scraping that away where it bridged between. Off the ship, it's coming off pretty easy, and those edges look nice, so I'm not even going to have to worry about that. It's just really getting the fronts where I have to grab. I've scratched some of the paint off, and that's not. And the edges where it grabbed on. There's another one there. Like I said, if I just kind of lightly with my razor blade just roll across there and scrape anything off. And I can even touch those up too. A lot of times it's just popping right off and barely even hurting the paint. But there's some areas I do have to touch up and make better. But let's glue this guy down. And then we'll set it aside, and then I'll show you what I've been doing on the base. It's just too hard to concentrate, and things take time to dry. And you're holding things and stuff when it comes to doing landscaping. You know, you kind of always... But what I did is... Well, I'll show you in a sec. Let's get this glued on. It shouldn't take on. Yeah, and there's no reason I held off. The only reason I really held off from gluing this down is because I didn't want this part hit with the clear coat. So at this point, we are good. We can just pull you out. So you're out of the way yet. The wires are still there. So we'll just go in here, use this Revell glue, and we'll generously put some on the inside corner. This is the last time I can do that. You know, and I can even put a little right there. Because that's originally where this bronze piece with the small windows is supposed to glue to. And then it was supposed to have a peg come up. Now I'm even going to center some of these windows out. I'm going to center this window right with this here. It doesn't keep that pattern. It pretty much, well, it does in the back. Just lined up nice and straight here. One window, it's nice and lined up straight there, and same thing this way. So there we go. There she is. Like I said, besides some of the few little blemishes there, and something going on in those three little spots, and then here, but these kind of hide until you get right on them. There's some of those little pits too. I could probably hit it with another coat of clear, and that would probably get rid of those dimples, but we do have a little either dirt or just wrinkling there. I think there and there. It's just the paint kind of wrinkling up. Very small. This one's only, you know, from there to there. It's really small. I don't know if you can see it. It'll come out as a little darker gray. But, oh no. And then it looks like we got a little bubble in the paint down there. Or something happened. Or the paint dissolved, or the color, whatever, I don't know. It's weird. Don't know, I'm happy. So let's let this sit aside and cure. I'll keep it upside down. The only thing we got to do in the ship is I want to touch up the railing there. And we'll touch up these fronts and sides, mainly the fronts. The sides are pretty good on the landing gear. Alright, let's set you aside and I'll show you the base. It is pretty much done. Ooh, I'm going to have to touch up a little brown there from taking the ship and the rod in and out of there. I'll just hit it with a little bit of that brown, if I can remember which one it is. I usually write it down in my pad, which is always a good idea if you're doing stuff. I have a little pad that I'll write down, you know, for the YouTube stuff, so I know what each part is titled. I'll go through the clips and group them into episodes. But the base came out good. These trees I actually made, these taller ones, and they were just made out of sticks I found outside. Actually, it was a pine tree. And it had lots of branches with little branches that if you cut would look like trees. And then I ordered off of eBay from this store that sells a lot of train layout landscaping stuff. And found some stuff really good price. These stones here are left over from the Arboretum for the refit. From green strawberries, so they give you stone for the walkways, so I put that in here in this little drive-ish way. I made a tent. I made the tent out of just, you know, I was thinking cloth, but a lot of the cloth I have is out of scale as far as the weaving, You know, it looked like this huge weaving. Almost, it looked crochet in this scale if I used a piece of cloth. So I looked at, you know, regular masking tape, cheap old from Lowe's masking tape, and you can see a little bit of a texture to it. So I actually just took it, pulled it out, folded it on itself, sticky side to sticky side, and just cut it to, you know, to where it would be the length, and just gave it a fold. And it gave me a nice kind of canvasy tent situation there. Yeah. And then I used two little rods, styrene rods, for the tent stakes. And I might tie a little string here and attach it to the ground, the strings that hold the poles from going in. I may or may not. Might not be even worth worrying about. This one here I could have tied right down to there. This one here I think it's going to get too close to the fire. Unless I do a straight kind of down. But then, yeah, we built the fireplace here. I just took a 5mm flickering LED, a white one, painted it yellow, orange, and red, drilled that into the base, and then I put a piece of cotton, just took a cotton Q-tip and pulled some of the parts off and put some cotton around it, and then started, I cut, toothpicks, just took a toothpick and started cutting it in little sticks to act as logs, and then hit it. I found what's working really good is this oily earth wash from Vallejo. Has a red and a brown in it. You can kind of see what's settled there. And just washed over this. I think these are kind of like a bamboo, so they don't overly soak the wash. It'll work perfect. And then I grabbed some more little sticks that have bark and everything, and stuck some of them in there just to fill it up a little more. This campfire is probably a little bigger, you know, because it's almost as tall as, or if not as tall as the tent. But I'm just thinking they have a big bonfire. And then I took some of this stone before I did all that and put that around the bulb, so that gives like kind of like coals, and you know, you'd probably have stone base on your campfire. And then got little rocks from outside. Actually had to break them. They were rocks like this, kind of like what they use for driveways. But that still was way too big a scale. That one rock would have just, you know, would have acted like a rock like this big. So what I do is take it downstairs and smash them with a hammer and break them into little smaller pieces, and put those around and glued them down around the campfire, and tucked a little more cotton in between the logs, and it works good. Now these round ones were trees that I pre-bought, and they were very open, like airy. You could see them. Everything was like in rows. The little branches with the. So all I did is, you know, and it already had a flock on it, leaves. So all I did just to gussy them up was took a little Elmer's glue and water and made a liquid solution that I could use a brush, and I just brushed it all over the tree's existing leaves, and then used the flock that I used for the grass and everything, and just clumped it on there, and it made them look so much better. It filled them in and gave a little more color, because I sprinkled some of the grass that has, like, they call it a burnt grass. It's kind of a brown grass. It's a mix of green and brown. It kind of gives you that dirty, or, you know, some dead grasses in there, like field grass. And then sprinkle that on the trees. I learned that from a guy on YouTube. Even with the flock, green flock in there, he would still sprinkle some on there. It hides a lot of the glue that you can still see, and it adds a little other colors to the tree, because trees aren't always going to be one solid green. So that worked out pretty good. So I'm happy with it. We got little flower areas. We got you know, some rocks that I purposely, when I used the spackle and spackled this whole base at first, those look good. We got, you know, areas where there's flowers, wildflowers, especially over here. We have some. And we just got the fence looks good with a. I still might hit that with a gun steel, the string to kind of get rid of the fuzzies. That, you know, normal string will do, especially if you're spraying any aerosols, like when I did a clear to seal the paint down. But yeah, that's where we're at. And we just got to do the water. I have it preset for it. And like I said, that came out. I'm very happy with how the diorama's coming out with the campfire. And that makes it look like the aliens came over and said, oh, what's going on here? Now if I can find like a little car or truck to put right here. But I'm fine with it just like this. Couldn't be happier. And then, but that's why I would think less is more, and just put a jack there and I just plug it in. Because like I said, a lot of these, once I get permanent places for these to be displayed, I'm going to have switches that turn everything on. So, don't really need power switches on them. Or like I said, or even now, just with the shelves now, I just have them on the power strips, and I just turn the power strips on, and it turns multiple things on, all one shot. But yeah, I even had the tire marks using a darker brown. I think we started off with a darker brown, and then I sprayed in the lighter brown. So you can even see tire, kind of like how the rubber would still the wear of the rubber tire still comes off on the dirt. But until next update, thanks for watching.